Hello, I'm DerTebbers, and this is your game review of Might & Magic Duel of Champions. Note, I did not call this an indie game, and it is not. This is from Ubisoft. Given that Ubisoft is best known for Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs, figured this game would fit into a niche of a less known game. This is Might & Magic Duel of Champions, a free-to-play collectible card game that feels like a cross between Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone. Collectible card games have been a fact of life for many of us since the first Magic the Gathering cards showed up in game stores in about 1993. The concept is both easy to grasp and infinitely adaptable and expandable, so you're always learning and you're constantly challenged. The graphics for Might & Magic are very good, certainly on par with its two main competitors in this genre. I do like the lack of showy effects when damage is dealt, as that slowed the pace of Magic the Gathering 2014. The card art is well done, which is extremely important to draw in those of us that played a lot of Magic the Gathering. We love our card art, and the better the card art, it feels like the better the game. Single player performance is very good, with fast card action and a good feel for throwing down cards. I've had one crash with a stack error so far, but that appeared to be because I'm using the Steam launcher to launch the game rather than its standalone launcher, and a quick change to the directory that it was occupying has prevented any further crashes. Multiplayer performance is also good. I've not had any issues with lag, and other players seem to be invested enough in the game to keep going, even if you start to win the match. The menus appear to be the one area where performance is suffering, as at times the menu, especially loading into the shop, takes an overly long time to load, and every once in a while you do get stuck in a loop when going in and out of the shop. Additionally, sometimes the tooltips on cards can be a bit flaky as well, forcing you to constantly hover over the card to try to get that tooltip to pop enough for you to actually read what it is. Of course, you can always right-click on a card to cause that card to expand, but in the middle of a battle when you're trying to watch what your opponent is doing, that's not quite a good idea. Free-to-play games have a very negative reputation, fittingly in most cases, but Might & Magic doesn't appear, as of this moment, to be suffering from many of the issues that we're used to in the free-to-play games, such as paywalls and overly grindy feels. Yes, there is constant advertising for buying more gold or upgrades or tokens or whatever the little eagle things are called, but if we ignore that as a necessary evil for this kind of game, there doesn't appear to be an onerous paywall in place preventing progression. I've been able to garner enough gold in just a few matches to purchase more cards. Speaking of the matches, they're often fast-paced, at least in some cases, with cards dropped on the play surface very quickly. Each round becomes a rhythm, and you develop your rhythm as you play more. And as you progress to later rounds of the match, where you have more action points available, you end up throwing out large numbers of cards, or you end up facing a situation where you've filled up the deck, and now you've got to figure out what are you going to do because you have a handful of monsters and nowhere to put them. In some cases, the match can drag on. I've had a match go for 45 minutes. But in the end, that was more gratifying than a super fast match because it allowed me to really exercise strategy and look at all the cards that I had coming. It also allowed me to develop new strategies for some of my cards. The single player campaign is good, allowing you time to get a feel for a deck before forcing you to edit the deck to proceed beyond a certain point. Unlike Magic the Gathering 2014, I don't get the feel the computer has every advantage. In fact, I think Might & Magic might have gone too far the other way. Several times I've had a computer opponent kill themselves by attacking my creature when I've cursed their creature to do the damage to them if they attack me, or any of my creatures. But they did it anyway and killed themselves. Single-player games also run very, very fast. The computer is, of course, instantaneous in making its decisions. So it allows you to get a good couple rounds in very quickly if you just have a couple minutes to play on the game. Multiplayer matchmaking has been fast, and the ranking system appears to be working well. I've not felt like I'm at the mercy of more advanced players, but rather at the mercy of my own naivety with the game and some of the cards. I've not had a player drop a match on me regardless of the way the match is going for them. And this bodes well for others, as people will feel it's worth their time to play through even if they lose the match. Deck building is good, but I have struggled with it. Now you're limited to which cards you can put in a deck by your hero selection. Having played Magic the Gathering since the 4th edition, and we're on like 15th edition now, I have trouble with this concept, as I often want to mix certain groups together to get a stronger deck, but the hero is incompatible. And that's more of a problem with me having grown up playing Magic. Additionally, it does feel like it's very difficult to build a deck only because, as someone who grew up building decks with real cards, I have problems when it's 200 and something cards in a digital form and I can't spread them out in front of me and read them all or look at them all, and I often have to zoom in and out. But again, that's more of an issue with me coming from Magic the Gathering. Aside from this complaint, I will say that deck building is as complex as building a real Magic deck. Not Magic the Gathering 2014, but the real physical deck. You have to read every card. You have to consider the usage in the game. How will this affect my gameplay? Will this card ever actually do me any good? There are some cards I have yet to find a reason to use them, so I just have to pull them out. This isn't easy for first-time players, and a tutorial on deck building would not go wanting here from Ubisoft. But with a little bit of time and a little bit of patience, you can certainly start to build a decent-sized deck, or at least a deck that fits your playstyle. Overall, the gameplay is solid for a collectible card game, though not as accessible as Hearthstone given the need for a deeper understanding of the various heroes, the abilities, and the various spells. Might and Magic is certainly better than Magic the Gathering 2014. The free-to-play element is always a tricky one. While there are cards locked behind a paywall, those cards do appear to be accessible with a lot of play. Every match generates gold that can be used to buy new cards, with the exception of practice matches, of course, because that's practice. Even a loss generates a good bit of gold and XP in multiplayer. This makes the paywall appear to be very low, and the gold needed to buy a new deck is easily achievable, so as not to generate a truly grindy free-to-play game. Might and Magic Duel of Champions is a solid game, and one of the free-to-play games that feels well done. It has a depth I like, and while I have an atrocious win-loss ratio on multiplayer, I'm still having fun because I find myself learning and actively changing my decks as I counter new playstyles. Over the past few matches, I've improved my win-loss ratio as I've found one card works better than another, or perhaps removing a few of these unnecessary cards from my deck and putting in a few fast play monsters changes how the game plays. Overall, it's a game that I'll certainly be playing a lot of. I've been DerTebbers, and this was your game review of Might and Magic Duel of Champions. Until next time, you better watch out for my Vampire Knight.